Hello, everyone. We are live this afternoon breaking down 49ers-Jags on the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. I am the Big D. Before I bring in today's guest, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. Broke down UFC 295, so you can see that. Check out the Big D podcast for all your audio listeners, Spotify and Apple. Thank you to all veterans, past, present, and future veterans. And speaking of veterans, we've got one right here joining us from Titusville, High Point content creator, and ready to see his 49ers take on my Jaguars tomorrow, George Reed. So, George, thank you for your service, and thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely honored to be here. I'm really glad you reached out to ask me if I could do this. I had a tough weekend this weekend. It's one of the busiest weekends I've had in a while, but I'm glad we were able to nail down a time to sit down and talk a little bit of football.
Well, yeah, I mean, just think. I mean, holidays coming, Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks, Christmas after that, and it's a perfect time because guess what? Tomorrow at around the same time, your 49ers and my Jacks will be playing just up the road.
Correct. And I'm going to the game. I'm super excited about it. 49ers don't get to come to the East Coast very often. So when they do, I want to go over and watch.
You did 2 years ago. I remember that game.
Yep, I didn't make it to that game. It wasn't a very good game for the Jaguars. I believe they lost 30-12 or 30-14 or something like that. It wasn't a very good
30
game,
to
but
10.
yeah, this is a different Jaguars team. They're so much better. We can actually forget that whole season. I believe that was the Urban Meyer season. So like, let's pretend that season never even existed.
Yeah, Urban Meyer's redacted in my household.
yeah,
Although he did beat the Dolphins and Bills.
yeah, he did. I think the Jaguars won uh, more in spite of Urban Meyer than actually giving Urban Meyer any credit for those victories. I can't give Urban Meyer credit for anything other than getting Doug Peterson a job in Jacksonville. That's the only credit I'm willing to give him.
Has Urban Meyer surpassed Bobby Petrino as the worst NFL coach ever?
Yes, absolutely. Like there's Urban Meyer, there's Jim Tomsula, but he's by far the worst coach in the history. I would rather have Adam Gase than Urban Meyer, and that's pretty bad because I don't think anybody wants Adam Gase. Adam Gase is permanently scarred in my memory because all I could see is his eyes looking all over the place when he was doing that interview with the Jets. And somebody on YouTube took a taco and added a taco to that video and was having the taco move around and his eyes were following him. So that Adam Gase was a horrible coach, but yes, definitely not nearly as bad as Urban Meyer.
Maybe we could put Arthur Smith in that category for he's not using Bijan, but that's a story for another day, right?
yeah, he's. I don't know. It just seems crazy to draft a guy eighth overall and then absolutely refuse to give him any type of run. It just doesn't make sense. But I'm not an
I would
NFL
think if
coach, so
you
I don't know.
spend a top 10 player on a skill position guy, you're using like a let's see. Oh, I'll give Tyler Algier the ball on like the goal line and run some kind of tight end whatever
Sweep.
play with
Yep.
tight end sweep with John Smith.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to use Kyle Pitts. You don't want to use Bijan Robinson. I guess what they did is he's got all these high draft capital players and just going to use them as decoys because nobody is like scheming to stop Tyler Algier and Johnu Smith. So nobody's going to see them being used. And why use them? I mean, why use your high drafted players when you can use the guys nobody's thinking you're going to use?
I don't know, as Herman Edwards would say, you play to win the game.
Game. Yep. And right now the Falcons are going playoffs. Playoffs? We talking about playoffs?
I love the Jim Moore senior core.
yes, thank you.
Well, back to our game.
Yep.
I think the tomorrow's 49ers Jags game is probably the biggest of week 9 because
Yep.
it's two teams with potential Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, your 49ers have been in the NFC Championship game 3 of the past 4 years
Yep.
with three different quarterbacks. No, well, two different quarterbacks.
Yeah, they had Jimmy G and we got Brock Purdy now. Hopefully Brock Purdy will stay healthy. Hopefully he'll cut down on the turnovers.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where this game technically should have been flexed into Sunday night. Selfishly, I'm glad they didn't because I don't want to drive home after a Sunday night game to have to get up for work early Monday morning. So I'm really glad they left it at 1, but they should have put this as the Sunday night game. It's going to be the battle of the two best teams of the week playing. So
Yeah, with your 49ers, I mean, San Francisco started off the season really well, dismantled the Cowboys week 5, and then all of a sudden it's like things have taken and things took a nosedive. I mean, that Cleveland game, I mean, first off, San Francisco got screwed with a couple bad calls, and yet still had a chance at the end. Jake Moody missed a 40-something yard field goal. And then the Niners lost that Monday night game in Minnesota. And then week 8, you ran into Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
yeah, the Bengals was a buzzsaw. They beat us 31-17. Like you said, we lost to the Vikings in Minnesota 22-17. Should have beat the Browns. That was just a bad overall game. Moody, he nails that kick, you know, 98, 97 times out of 100. So the fact that he missed it, it was just one of those things. Started off 5-0, beat the Steelers, beat the Rams, beat the Giants, Cardinals. Big win was the Cowboys. I'm not really surprised we had a letdown against the Browns after the big win at home versus Dallas, but we need to get right. The bye week did us a lot of good. We traded for Chase Young, got him for what I say is a bag of peanuts. Third round pick, and it's not even a third round pick really. It's a
Compensatory third
compensatory,
round.
yes, a compensatory third round pick. So, and if he leaves at the end of the year and doesn't re-sign with San Francisco, like we'll get a third round compensatory pick most likely for him. So between that, we're only paying him a little under $600,000 for the rest of the year. Like it's a steal that they were able to pull that off. But we needed the bye week. We had to get healthy, get Chase Young to know the playbook, get Debo Samuel back. We get Trent Williams back. I think really we're only going to be missing one or two players for this game.
Yeah, my Jags started 1-2. We lost to the Chiefs. Well, let's see. Everybody losing to the Chiefs. Trust me. You guys
Yep.
found out about the Chiefs last year, and then lost to the Texans, but then beat the Falcons, Bills, Colts, Saints, and Steelers. And be honest with you, I almost wish we didn't have a bye week last week. But you know, I mean, if the NFL gives you a bye week, you'll take the week off. And I mean, week 9 bye week, 6-2. I couldn't ask for much more of that. And be honest with you, I am intrigued by what happens this game because the last time Trevor Lawrence played the 49ers, things didn't go well, but Jackson's got way better personnel, way better coach. Plus, with 2 weeks of prep time, Trevor Lawrence was a different quarterback in the second half and playoffs last year. And Doug Peterson's teams usually get hot second half this season. I mean, remember how well his Eagles teams played
Yep.
second half in the past Super Bowl year? And the Jags were a different team in the second half last year. And I think this game's going to be big. I mean, Trevor's been really good the last year or so, but I think he could take another step playing you guys tomorrow.
So I think this is going to come down to three keys for each team. Um, if the Jaguars are to win, I think they have to get the 49ers off the field, limit their third down conversions, don't allow them to extend the drives. they need to limit Christian McCaffrey, who's been held to under 60 yards the last 3 games, and which is not something easy to do, but the Jags can do it. You guys only allow 79 yards a game on average to running backs. Like your defense, the Jaguars' defense is completely underrated. Um, and then the other thing I think the Jaguars are going to need to do is control the clock and run the ball. So if I think if the Jaguars can do those 3 things, it potentially could be a long day for the 49ers. Um, and the other thing I think the Jaguars need to do is create turnovers. So those 4 are the keys, in my opinion, for the Jaguars to win. What do you think?
You're right about turnovers because Jacksonville's like number one in the league in forcing turnovers, and
Yep.
Brock Purdy's thrown 5 picks his last 3 games. Now, Debo Samuel not playing didn't help. Trent Williams not as his Purdy's blindside protector didn't help. Debo's coming back tomorrow. Is Trent Williams more questionable or
He,
probable tomorrow?
he's questionable. I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play. He says he wants to play. He says he's going to play. I think he plays, but officially they have him listed as questionable.
Well, all these teams have everybody questionable. Like Jamal
Yeah.
Chase is questionable, but we know he's playing them all.
Yep.
Some of these guys, you could have the sniffles, and they list you as questionable.
Listen, after what the aforementioned earlier in the show, Arthur Smith, after him not telling everybody that Bijan Robinson wasn't feeling well, and the NFL investigating that, yeah, like if you got the sniffles, if you got a head flu, if your kids are at home and one of your kids are sick, they're going to put you on the injury report now because they don't want the NFL coming to investigate. Hey, why didn't you say anything about this illness or injury beforehand?
But and secondly, the Jacks will have to limit Yak because Jacksonville's given up some yards through the air, but San Francisco's. We know the 49ers are the Yak leaders.
Yep.
IU, Kittle, Debo, even McCaffrey.
Yep.
And 3, I think the Jacks offensive line will have to protect because San Francisco's, whether it's the change from D'Amico Ryans to Steve Wilkes, the San Francisco pass rush has been nowhere near as ferocious.
Yeah, I think so. They have Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is number 4 in the NFL with 41 pressures on the quarterback. So they were getting to the quarterback, but they weren't really causing a lot of sacks. Hopefully, adding Chase Young. When they traded for Chase Young, he was 5th in the NFL in quarterback pressures with 40. So I'm hoping now you've got those 2 monsters on the edge. Nick Bosa's not going to be able to be double teamed every play. You're not going to be able to double team Chase every play because of Nick Bosa's on the other side. So I'm hoping between the 2 of them, not only will they continue to get even more pressures on the quarterback, but they'll open things up for like Eric Armstead to come in. Javon Hargrave has not played up to the expectations that they had when they brought him in. So Randy Gregory, hopefully he'll be able to come in as well and get some pressure on the quarterback and get a couple of sacks as well, with as much attention as those 2 ends are gonna require opposing offenses to pay attention to.
Why have the Niners not been the same defense? D'Amico Ryans was such a well-respected defensive coordinator, finally got his head coaching job. We'll see what he's doing with C.J. Stroud and the Texans. But why has San Francisco's pass rush fallen off this year?
Um, I really don't know. They started they've come out and they've started slow. Uh, the the only person really been able to get to the quarterback has been Joey Bosa. And they're not getting the sacks that they're used to getting. And I think a lot of that is also that the quarterbacks that they're playing are getting the ball out a lot faster. It seems like across the NFL, these quarterbacks are getting the ball out a lot quicker than what they have in years past. They're not dropping back and sitting in the pocket as much as they used to.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing like how Tua gets the ball off his hands so fast, or how Trevor got the ball off his hands fast against the Saints or against the Steelers. And I think teams are also taking away the deep ball because they're like, we don't want Tyreek Hill running 80 yards down the field. We don't want Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle running on the field. We'd rather have you drive 80 yards on 12,
Yep.
15 plays because guess what? You're going to get a holding penalty or somebody's going to drop a pass and then you guys will be forced to kick.
Yep. Exactly. It's been, for the most part, I think it's been a pretty weird year
And
for.
plus, I've never seen this many backup quarterbacks. I mean, Tommy DeVito will be what, the 10th rookie quarterback to start this year.
Yeah.
Uh, I think
Over one third of almost one third of the NFL has had their non day one starting quarterback start for them this year. It's been crazy year for injuries and for these rookie quarterbacks, like 10 rookie quarterbacks in 1 year. I don't think that's ever happened before.
yeah, like Tommy DeVito starting for the Giants against the Cowboys tomorrow. If you had, I would not play Tommy DeVito in a super flex or any league. Come on.
So I actually have a fantasy league that I when I get done with this, I actually got to check to see if I actually picked him up. And if I picked him up, I'm actually starting him in a league tomorrow. But it's because
I've got a question.
yep,
Mahomes or Tua as your quarterback?
I want Mahomes. He's the best
Oh,
quarterback
you
in the
have
NFL.
Mahomes in that league?
No, that league I have Mahomes. Yes. So that league, my quarterback is the only two quote starting quarterbacks that I have is Patrick Mahomes and Anthony Richardson. Those I only it's a super flex league. I only got two quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson's on IR. Patrick Mahomes on a bye. Um, I traded for Taylor Heineke, but my wide receivers that are on a bye for that league, um, I have Cooper Kupp on a bye. I have Puka Nakua on a bye. AJ Brown's on a bye. Tyreek Hill is on a bye. Cedric Wilson is on a bye. Like I'm literally I've got no Dallas Goddard. Um, I can't start Mahomes because he's on a bye. Uh, I have nothing. Like my whole team is on a bye for this league. I think I'm starting David Sills as my for the New York Jets as my wide receiver too because I don't have anybody. So it's one of those things where if I could pick up Tommy DeVito, I will absolutely put him in my lineup as my second quarterback because I don't have a better option anywhere else. It's that bad.
I've got a little advice for you. If you need a couple waiver moves, try and get Trenton Irwin.
He's not available. I looked. It's a deep.
Uh,
There's like 30. It's a 12-team league. We got 35 roster spots. It's a very active, competitive dynasty league, and I have either the injury bug or I have the bye bug for this coming week. It's just absolutely brutal. Up until last week, I didn't even have a quarterback for this week. I had to trade future picks for Taylor Heineke just so I could have a quarterback in this league for this week.
yeah, I remember doing one of my best ball drafts. I drafted like 4 week 9 wide receivers, and I'm like, oh no, oh no.
The only saving grace is like I'm number one in this league right now. I'm the number the my team's currently in first place, and I've scored probably about 150 points more than everybody else in the league. Like it's a really good team, but it's just one of those things where this week I've got nobody. Jaron Hall is not playing. Mitch Trubisky's not playing. PJ Walker and Mike White are all on my roster, but none of them are playing. Taylor Heineke's the only starting quarterback I got. My running backs, and I hate to be reading my whole team during the show, but I got Devonta Foreman, who I started him. Evan Hall's on IR. Jerick McKinnon's on a bye. Cordell Patterson, I'm starting him. I'm not going to play Craig Reynolds. I got Jonathan Taylor. Sean Tucker is not going to play. Jamal Williams is playing, but like I've got nobody worth the weight of anything to start over Tommy DeVito, and there's nobody on waivers. So if Tommy DeVito's available, I'm playing. If he gets me 8 to 9 points, I'll be happy. My
Yeah,
expectations
this
are
is
very
a week.
my expectations are lower than Urban Meyer coaching. I'll just put it that way.
This is a week that you just want to get through with no
Yep.
issues.
Yeah. If a couple of my main guys, Jonathan Taylor, if he doesn't get hurt, I'll be happy because I'll have everybody coming back next week and I'll be fine.
You want Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you want Jonathan Taylor getting you what 12 to 15 in Frankfurt.
Oh, I don't care as long as he doesn't get injured. Like I've already accepted the fact I'm losing this week because I'm playing the guy who's the number 2 overall player in the league right now. I'm playing the 2 seed this week, so I already congratulated him on his bye week this week. I projected to score like 72 points, so I just don't want nobody to get hurt. As long as nobody gets hurt on my team, I'm okay.
Well, the good news with JT is he's on bye next week.
Yep. So I'll be looking for a running back for next week. I don't know. It's bad. But let's get
Yeah.
back to the Jaguars and 49ers.
I mean, well, Brock Purdy started off the season really great. No picks his first 5 games, and then not great against the Browns. May have or may not have sustained a concussion in that Week 7 game against Minnesota. A, do you think Purdy was a little bit woozy that game? And B, what has caused Purdy's interceptions the past 3 games? Because I mean, is Purdy just did Purdy just hit a bad patch, or was Purdy now more a turnover machine?
I don't think he's a turnover machine. The last 3 games have been bad. He's got 5 turnovers in 3 games. That's not good from your quarterback. I honestly believe he did sustain a concussion that game. If you go back and look, he came back, landed right on the back of his head. His head bounced up off the grass. I think he sustained a concussion. I think it was one of those things where he was having symptoms. I don't think he went to the team and reported that he was having any type of concussion symptoms. So they didn't flag it, and he didn't want to come out the game. He thought, okay, I've got a headache. I got my bell rung. Finish up the game, give it another week, and hopefully whatever I'm dealing with will go away. And I don't know if they did or not, but I honestly believe he sustained a concussion that game, and it was just missed by the NFL and by the spotters, and he didn't report it to the team.
Yeah, because I'm like, what? I'm like, that almost seemed like what happened with Tua on Christmas last year.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, I mean, after what happened with Tua and how it was seen by everybody, like they played that hit and his stumbling and his after effects on every show across the nation. Like you would think even the players would take, a concussion a little bit more serious, but I think, it's also he didn't want to take a risk of not being able to play. Like he wanted to go in and he wanted to be there for his team. He wanted to tough it out, and it just, it affected the play on the field. I don't think this bye week could have come at a better time. I think not having Trent Williams for those games also hurt him. The offensive line hasn't been living up to the expectations. Like the 49ers the last couple of years have lost a couple of really good offensive linemen to free agency. They just haven't been able to re-sign them. So I think the line wasn't playing as well as it should have. And I think he did suffer that concussion, and that affected his play on the field.
Yeah, and plus not having Debo Samuel meant it was more on McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Kittle, and we know and we know what Christian McCaffrey is. I mean, I don't remember a running back who can do what McCaffrey can, but Christian McCaffrey's. I mean, fantasy fans might disagree with me. I think Christian McCaffrey's probably been too used this year.
Um, I don't know if he's been overused so far this year, uh, but they lean on him. They want to run the ball. That's what they want to do. They absolutely want to run the ball. They want to be a run first team. And when you have the best running back in the NFL, uh, you want to lean on that. He's only had 137 rush attempts on the season. For comparison, we'll stick with the Jaguars. Travis Etienne's had 151 rush attempts. So
And
same amount of
Etienne's not a big guy.
yeah, and so same amount of games. Etienne has had, almost 20 rush attempts. He's had like 15 rush attempts more on the season, which when you break it down, is like two more per game. So it's not a big deal. But Christian McCaffrey, he's had more targets than Travis Etienne. He's got more receptions. Uh, McCaffrey's got 32 receptions on the year. Etienne has 27. It's just they they want to run the ball, and they're gonna lean on Christian McCaffrey to do it. And he's a heck of a dynamic player, to where you want to get dynamic player the ball. You want to get the ball in their hands and let them do what they do best. So I don't know if I can agree with their leaning on McCaffrey too much. I'd have to look it up, but I don't think he's even in the top. I don't think he's in the top five in total touches of the football on the season uh, through the first 9 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how like some guys will off injure, and now like McCaffrey's healthy all of a sudden. Somebody explain them apples.
What was the question? I didn't hear you.
It's funny how like before joining the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey couldn't stay healthy with the Panthers, and now he's healthy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's uh, pl- playing in the weather. Like the 49ers, California weather is absolutely fantastic. You don't really have to worry about playing on a muddy field or in the rain or anything like that. I don't know if it's a better training staff. I don't know if it's better health coaching. I, I I don't know what it is, but yeah,
Maybe maybe the grass helps.
it could be the different field, the different style of grass versus the turf. I don't really know what it is, but yeah, he's healthy. He's been healthy for the 49ers. He wasn't always injured for the Carolina Panthers. He I believe his first couple seasons he was absolutely healthy. He was fine. He was never really injured. But the last few years before they traded for him, yeah, he was definitely banged up and missing games. I'm glad he's not missing any games for the 49ers, right? Like we want to see the best players on the field at all time. Never wish for injury. So I'm glad he's healthy. I'm glad he's there, and I'm glad he's helping them win.
By the way, guess who leads the league in rushing attempts so far this season?
Rushing attempts. Is it ETN? He's got 151. There, he's up there.
Etienne's number 2 in the league.
Okay. Um, Number one. It's not Derrick Henry. They've cut back his usage a lot. They're using Tajay Spears a lot. Um, Trying to think. Yeah, I got no idea.
Do you want a hint?
Yeah.
His team made a significant coaching move in the not too distant past.
It's not Josh Jacobs. No surprise. I should have known that.
Yeah,
The
well,
NFL.
here's why the Raiders haven't been on bye yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. That and I should have been able to guess him. Like that they've had Jimmy Garoppolo. and Aiden O'Connell as their quarterback. So they're not wanting those guys to chuck the ball. They want to run the ball. Josh Jacobs was the leading NFL rusher last year. I should have got that. I don't know why I didn't.
Well, I mean, San Francisco's offense not just based on McCaffrey. I mean, Brandon Ayuk was one of my highest drafters in best ball. Debo can do everything. Kittle seemingly comes out with three of. Watch George Kittle come with 3 touchdowns tomorrow.
If he does, that'll match what he's got on the season so far. He's
And
only
I
scored.
think Kittle got those in one game, right?
Yep, he did.
Against the Cowboys.
Yep, big game against the Cowboys. Outside of that, he has not scored a touchdown all year. So I don't know if the odds are he'll get 3 touchdowns, but one of my keys for the 49ers to win this game is actually get not Christian McCaffrey, get George Kittle involved in the game. So the 3 I have for the 49ers, you got to get Kittle involved in the game. He's such a vital importance to that team being very good. What he does, his blocking is phenomenal. Him blocking for the other wide receivers is fantastic. But it seems like the 49ers are better when George Kittle has the ball in his hands as well. So getting him involved in the game, win the turnover battle. 49ers are they're pretty good at not turning the ball over, and the Jaguars are number 1 in the league with 18 total turnovers. They average more than 2 turnovers a game. So winning that turnover battle is going to be huge. And then my other key of the game for the 49ers would be win the battle of the trenches. So have your defensive line beat Jacksonville's offensive line, and then have your offensive line be able to hold Josh Allen and those boys in check. Don't let them get to Brock Purdy. Don't let them sack him. Don't let them get pressure on him. Keep a clean pocket for Brock Purdy and allow him to do what he needs to do. And I think if the 49ers can do that, they got a very good chance at beating a very, very game Jacksonville team.
Is Brock Purdy capable of beating the top teams and quarterbacks? Because we saw what he did against the Cowboys. Could Brock Purdy beat a Trevor Lawrence, a Jalen Hurts? The NFC doesn't. A Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I think he is. It's a team game, so I think you have to win in all 3 facets of the game. You have to win on offense, you have to win on defense, and you have to win on special teams. So Brock Purdy's not going out there and defending against Patrick Mahomes. He needs his defense to step up and to win some battles with him. I think the way the 49ers are constructed, I absolutely believe, as a team, because it's a team game, that Brock Purdy can be the quarterback for the team that beats, the Lamar Jacksons, the Joe Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes. I absolutely believe that, yes, he can be the quarterback that does that. And I think he can beat those teams in playoff games.
Yeah. Do you think Steve Wilkes is... How do you feel about Steve Wilkes heading from the booth to the sideline this weekend?
So
Do you
I think
think
it's a.
that's a panic move?
I don't think it's a panic move. I think there's both good and bad to it, right? It's give a little and take a little. I think you give a little bit by not being able to see from a higher perspective of everything that's going on the field. Being up in the booth allows you to see more. You can see the whole field. You can see the different formations that the Jaguars are playing, and it's easier going forward to make scheme adjustments. At the same time, I think going down on the field, feeling the emotion of the game, being there with the players, being able to communicate better with the players down on the field, I think that's a win as well. A lot of coaches coach from the sideline. A lot of the offensive and defensive coordinators across the league do that, and a lot of them are coaching from the box. So I don't feel it's necessarily a panic move. I just think you're going to get some good at it, but you're also sacrificing a little bit because you no longer have those aerial views of being able to see what is going on across the entire field from an elevated position.
It's like a little good with the bad, right? You trade out one thing for another.
Exactly. Um, and I mean, Steve Wilkes he's done phenomenal with the 49ers defense so far. Um, the 49ers averaged the most interceptions on a per game status across the league. Going into the bye week, they had 11 interceptions in 8 games. So it's not like the defense has been bad. According to PFF, the 49ers defense is ranked number 2 in the entire NFL.
Let me
So
see. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I could get the other top 4 teams there. I'm going to take a wild guess. Kansas City's got to be one of them.
let me. So I have to. I only have my notes for the 49ers. I don't have the notes for the entire league. But if you give me a second, I'll pull them up. Sorry. All right. Let's see if it'll pull it up. No, it's not pulling it up. I got the internal spin going, and I don't want to have a bunch of dead air here.
No,
so
I don't think
I,
it would.
Yeah, so I'm going. So I did a 49ers Jaguars preview last night with Average Joe FF. He's with High Point content creators as well, and he covers specifically the Jaguars. And so I'm going off the notes that I did up for our show last night. According to PFF ranks, the 49ers are second overall in their team rankings. Offense is ranked fourth. Defense is ranked second, and our special teams is a putrid 30th, which is really, really bad. The Jaguars PFF ranks are pretty respectable. They're 13th overall in the entire league. Your offense is ranked 21st. You got a good offensive line, good quarterback, good running back, good wide receiver. Excuse me, a very underrated tight end. I love Evan Ingram. I think he's one of the more underrated tight ends in the league. But your offense has struggled. You guys haven't really put it all together yet, which I think that's coming. I don't think, your team is really good, so it's too good to have the 21st overall offense because you've got skill position players across the board that are all talented.
What
Your
about the defense?
defense is ranked 8th overall, which is really good. The defense has caused 2 or more turnovers in 6 of 8 games. And like I said, you guys average more than 2 turnovers per game. And then your special teams is ranked 14th.
I'd rather just not remember what the Texans did week 3. Took one to the house. I'm like the last 2 primetime games. Somebody's taking a punt to the house.
Yeah, it's special teams, man. People look at offense and defense; they often overlook special teams, but special teams is extremely vital, especially if you want to be considered a good team. Like they people underestimate how important a punt, even somebody like a punter, is. Like if you have a good punter, they can just flip the field for you. That's extremely important. If you have a good kicker, and you can, like, for example, Justin Tucker for the Ravens, like one of the best kickers in the NFL. Like he having an accurate punter or a kicker that can kick long distances. Like special teams are important, a very important phase of the game. They can make or break your team. And for the 49ers, we need to improve there. We're 30th. We're really, really bad. Jaguars is 14th. You guys are almost right in the middle of the pack. So it's just one of those things I don't think people really pay enough attention to is how important special teams are in these games.
Yeah, especially because look at Kansas City's road to the Super Bowl last year. Who won the game for the Chiefs against the Bengals and the Eagles? It wasn't Mahomes throwing the ball. It was
Yep.
Harrison Butker kicking
Yep.
the ball.
Yep. And look at even as early as this year, the 49ers. Like if Moody makes that field goal, we're 6-2. We don't have an embarrassing loss on the road. Like it comes down to having good kickers. Uh, Jake Moody is a very very good kicker, but he uncommon for him. He missed that field goal, and that was the difference between a win and a loss.
Yeah, and this is a start of brutal stretch for the Niners. I mean, 4 out of 5 against the Jags, Seahawks twice, and the Eagles. So a bunch of juicy matchups for you guys.
Yeah, and 3 of the next 4 are on the road. That Seahawks game is actually on a short week. That's our Thanksgiving day.
Thanksgiving.
So which not bad. Like we're only traveling to Seattle, so it's not like we're going across country again. It would be even
It
worse if
beat
we were.
it beats flying it beats flying to Frankfurt, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But that Eagles game, I think, is going to be very, very important. And while I'm not thrilled that we got the Jags this week, that's fine. We're home to the Buccaneers. Then we played that Seattle game on the road Thanksgiving Day. But then we have 10 days to prepare for the Eagles. So that I'm okay with that Eagles game because 10 days to prepare for the Eagles. I think they're playing Thanksgiving Day as well. I'm not 100%
No,
sure on how.
Philly's playing Buffalo week 12.
Okay, all right. So yeah, it's not a Thanksgiving Day game. Okay, so we'll have a little mini bye week again after the Thanksgiving Day game, but I think that Eagles game honestly is probably going to be one of the more important games we have left in the season.
It might
For the
be
rest of
the most important game because if you all don't win that, guess what? You're going to Philly on Championship Sunday if you
Yep,
make it that fall.
I agree. That game right there will probably determine whether if both teams make it to the championship, whether it's in Philadelphia or San Francisco. And I'd much rather that game be in San Francisco than Philadelphia. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
because you know what happens when the Eagles host in
yeah,
that ball, they don't
yeah.
lose.
Now they're very very difficult to beat in Philadelphia. Very very
Yeah,
difficult to beat.
especially with lubricated fans.
Yep, especially with lubricated fans.
Okay, George. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for serving the U.S. and hopefully we end up in a 49-49 tie the wall.
Well, I don't want to tie. I'll be happy with a win, whether it's by 1 point or 27. I don't care. I want the 49ers to get that W. We desperately need it. It's a battle of 2 teams going the wrong direction, or well, one team going the wrong direction, one team going the right direction. Your Jaguars, 5-game winning streak. 49ers 3-game losing streak. So I need to get that losing streak snapped. We hopefully we can break it. If you ask me for a score prediction, I think I'm gonna go 17-23 49ers. I think I
I
think
think there'll be
each
some
team gets
points
2
tomorrow.
touchdowns.
I think there'll be some
Well,
points tomorrow.
well, the problem is both teams are really good on defense. Um, I'll read you some stats for the Jaguars. I want to give the Jaguars their flowers. Out of 32 teams, the Jags are 8th in total points given up, 23rd in total yards given up. So they have that bend but don't break defense. They'll let you move up and down on the field, but they're not gonna let you get in the end zone. They'd rather give you a field goal. The defense has the most turnovers forced in the NFL with 18. They give up. They're number 7 in overall first downs allowed, 20th in passing touchdowns giving up. So you could pass for touchdowns on them. You can't run. They're
That's
they're
why everybody loves Brock Purdy the mole.
some rushing. Third fewest rushing yards allowed in the NFL.
That's
Ninth
big.
fewest rushing. Ninth fewest rushing touchdowns allowed.
So
Fourth
what?
in yards.
CMC always gets touchdowns.
Yeah, they're fourth in yards given up per rush. So rushing against the Jaguars, they only give up about 3.6 yards a carry. And they have allowed the 5th fewest first downs in the NFL. And that's why, going back to earlier in the show, one of my keys for the Jaguars to win this game is to get the 49ers off the field. Don't allow them to convert on third down. Limit their third down conversions. Get the 49ers off the field. And if Jaguars can do that, yeah, you guys got a very good chance at winning this game.
I think it's going to be a fun game.
Yep.
I think it's one we can't wait to see. I think it's one where you play everybody, and I mean, you play your normal guys, whether you have Etienne, maybe a Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, or for your Niners, McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk. I think it's one. No other concerns tomorrow in Jacksonville, and thankfully, no backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, we actually have starting quarterbacks. It's one of the very few games across the entire NFL slate that doesn't have backup quarterbacks going or rookie quarterbacks. We don't have a rookie quarterback going either.
But we do have Mr. Irrelevant going.
That's okay. He has cleared himself of that tag. He is no longer Mr. Irrelevant. He is very relevant.
Especially in the Bay Area.
Yes, exactly.
All right, George, I'll let you go.
All right, thank you, Dylan. I appreciate you having me on. This is fun. We got to do this again.